Welcome back. This is Engine Behind the Power. So how are you positively impacting on society? Well, Charles Owoko is doing that through education. Without further ado, welcome, Charles.
Thank you. Thank you, Rose.
Sana for coming.
Thanp you.
All the way from Kisumu County.
Yes, yes.
All right, welcome. And on Engine Behind the Power, we seek to understand what drives, a person to probably do what they do in society and how it's helping in society.
So many things would drive people to do things in society. Some of those things could be good. Some of them can be very bad. And when they are good, they help society. When they are bad, they give problems to the society and to the government. But I want to say that what drives me, I think I had a paradigm shift in my life after college that I knew the Lord, Jesus Christ. I used to go to church, and I saw a lot of unemployment. I was already in an engineering field, but I didn't have the resources to implement that because I needed to buy equipment, earth movers, and things like that. I didn't have that kind of money. But fortunately, I was able to do small contracts outside my employment. So I was able to raise some little money here and there, and I bought a place where I wanted to put up my home to be stable. But as an African, there were so many people staying with me. That time, I think it wasn't a very good time in my life. I had just lost my wife, and I was left with 2 sons, and people were still staying with me. Mm-hmm. So, and I think that was around 1997 in the country. There was a lot of retrenchment. I was in the government, Minister of Public Works then, and I wasn't sure whether I would be a casualty of those that would be sent home. So there were so many forces working in me.
And this is what drove you now to start up this?
Well, what drove me literally was the need of helping those who did not have jobs and to create jobs for those who are staying with me. Some of them had money to take to college and had no jobs. My friends would tell me, you can also employ them. I was running a small construction farm then, even though I was in government. So I bought a place, half an acre then, and I thought, if I use this for myself, I will have to host so many people here. Then I said, why don't I use this to create opportunities for those who are staying with me and for the others that were jobless in the church. Then what was it I could do in that place? I could not set up a construction farm there. As I've said earlier, it was expensive. So I thought of education. So I always say I got into education by default because I wasn't a trained teacher. And quite a number of people discouraged me. They said, why don't you concentrate in the area where you are? But somehow I was determined. And as I opened up that place, one thing I didn't believe was that I would be trusted with the children. But as we opened, I remember the first 3 years very well. It was hectic. We had a whole year.
Just a moment. I mean, when was this now? Because
that was 2001.
2001.
Yes.
And I mean, what is the picture like now, after the journey to 2018?
Wow, it's such massive. I would say we have over 100 employees as I talk now, with a wage bill of over 2 million per month. I think that possibly gives you what the picture is like, as opposed to then when it was still very difficult to pay a wage bill when we began of 50,000 in 2001.
All right, and of course your approach, you say, is to help the less fortunate in society. So what are you doing with your schools to ensure this, and which part of the country is this?
We are in Kisumu and Siaya counties. Now, what I believe made our schools popular is that I put up a policy that all the teachers that were in our school were having their children learning free, whether they were how many, I did not care. And I think that motivated them so much, and we ended up having the best results. And I think that brought in more parents, more students, and we became the first school, the first choice in Kisumu. I remember 2005, as a school, Golden Elites, we produced the best girl in the country.
Well, amazing.
Yes.
And of course, as the Secretary General of private primary schools in the country, a lot has been said about exemplary performance from private schools as opposed to public schools. What really ails the public sector? Well,
I want to talk about what makes the private schools perform. I passed through a public school in my early days, but you see, there is what we call supervision. There is what we call staffing of teachers in school. Teacher-student or teacher-pupil ratio. If in a public school we have 100 children in class with one teacher, and even when that teacher is sick, there's nobody to hold up, I don't think there will be miracles to produce results in such a scenario. Yeah. In a private school, it is self-regulating. The director is right there. There could also be a manager, and there is the head teacher and the senior teachers. So quality is assured. Continuity is assured. Continuous learning is assured. I think all this leads to good performance.
Okay. All right then. And of course, we've just aired a story on the education status in the northeastern counties. And of course, we've seen the en masse, transfer of teachers from the counties. What exactly is your take on this matter?
I want to sympathize with the teachers who are working in northeastern. These are human beings. Humanly speaking, we want them to work there. But it's hard to work when your security is not there. I think we have to, when it is yes, we have to say it is yes. When it's working, we have to say it's working. Who will want to work when it's not assured of his life tomorrow? We have heard of those unfortunate incidents. I don't want to refer to them. But unless you guarantee somebody security, these people have been working there so many years. We have had TTCs in Garissa, students trained there. Now what has changed? If there is insecurity, I don't think any intimidation, any amount of persuasion will persuade somebody to go to a place where it's not assured of his life. And to make it worse, even the people who are telling them to go and work are themselves secured. So we have to provide security for the teachers in Northeastern Province. And the people of Northeastern Province must come up and talk to their people that these people are helping their own children so that they are work together. Security cannot be of the government alone. Even the local community must come up and denounce any acts that hurts the welfare of the teachers.
All right. And of course, at the same time, we've seen the government put in a raft of measures to ensure inclusivity and availing of education to every child in the country. And how do you think this would further be improved, especially those with physical challenges?
Our government, I want to thank the government for making changes. I know as a third world country we lack resources, but from where I sit, I see the goodwill from the government. But the world over, education is a very expensive exercise. Look at the number of schools the government must post teachers to. Look at the amount of money that is budgeted for education in the country. It doesn't only start at the primary, it goes up to our universities. I don't know what I would say in a meeting like this I would recommend, but I think we need to sit down and decide how we are going to manage our education sector, right from the primary to the universities.
What could be your suggestions, probably?
Yes, I think we have to privatize part of education. We have to agree that education is expensive. To put up infrastructure for education is not a walk in the park. I don't think the government would be able to get all the funds to build all the schools and to employ all the teachers. There must be public-private partnership in education to be able to achieve our goals as a country. It's happening in other countries. So it's upon Kenyans, it's upon our government to promote policies that ensures that there's public-private partnership in education. What is so difficult, putting aside some money for the private sector to borrow and pay back to be able to invest in education? What is so difficult in that? Because if the government takes that money, they will not build all the classes. If the private sector is given such a location, which should not be free money, they will be able to pay it back, they will be able to create jobs, they will be able to take some burden from the government. I think we need to sit down, and from where I sit, I think we need to seriously think of public-private partnerships in education.
All right. And of course, now we've seen the new syllabus, and of course, it's been rolled out in, especially the junior levels. What is your take about this new syllabus? Is it more custom-made to fully equip a student to get into the corporate
think
world?
It's amazing. It's a nice thing. I've traveled as the secretary of the private school sector. We have gone to other countries. We are not just sitting around and complaining. We are going out of Kenya. We went to Hong Kong. We have gone to China. We have gone to Dubai recently. And we have gone to Egypt. We have gone to Israel. We have gone to South Africa. We are planning to go to the US to take our directors, private directors who are managing education in this country, to go and see what the others are doing. It's amazing. What the government is trying to bring around is what is happening out there. We cannot complain of what is going to change Kenya. The whole world, people are digitalizing their services. We cannot think that we stay in the past and we will be better in the future. We have to make a move. And I think the move made by the government was right. Yeah, for me, I would have complained if it was the status quo was to continue, because I would benefit. The status quo we have done very well, but we will be swept out with the whole world. It's changing. We have to change as a nation.
Right.
We have to digitalize our education. We have to teach. We have to be competent. Competency-based education is the best for our country. If a child is good in football, why must he be put in a lab to do physics? Why don't we have those talents nurtured? We have institutions that nurture those things so that we create them. If a child is good in music, why don't we train them? Why must we say they must do history? Why must they do chemistry? So where the government is going right now, in my view, we are on the right direction.
Okay. Quite a view right there from Charles Okoro. And at the same time, again, I also understand there are more things apart from education that you do to, empower people in society. Even in our last minutes in this interview, probably you could, shine a light on that. Yeah,
I think I was born in Kogelo, in Siaya, and if you have had a program of course, sometimes the press make it that the old ladies reading for Obama to speak English. Is far from it. That's a program that I, together with a few people, initiated under Pendeza Africa, an NGO that reaches vulnerable children, old ladies, and caters for their interest. And we have learned that these old ladies have phones, and they can't remember their PIN numbers. So we are teaching them. This country used to have adult education and it died. So I think last year we took some ladies, old ladies, to do KCSE, and they passed the Matiang'i exams that everybody says, yeah, we have those records in Kogelo, Siaya County. And I think with the young people, we are empowering them. We are paying school fees. I think before I came here, I think I signed quite a number of checks for the children we are sponsoring to schools. I know we are saying the education is private. It's not. It's what? Free, but boarding schools, they are paying. So I remember I signed checks to those schools because we are still paying. There's no way the government would be able to feed children in school.
All right then.
Yeah.
So for you, it is wholesome empowerment of society through education, of course. And well, we come into the last segment of this. Usually we ask you, because it's engine behind the car, the power. So which would be your, favorite model? But I will not ask you that today. And because today was the International Day of Forests, have you planted a tree recently?
Wow, a lot. Just now, I think people who know me, where I can plant trees, I've done my home is full of trees. I've created a forest in my old, the farm that my father gave to me in Kogelo. I think I'm talking and some people are hearing. There is a forest behind my father's home. I've planted those trees. I've gone to the village. I've told people to plant trees.
Yeah.
I know with the trees we conserve our environment. We'll have the rains. We'll have the resources from the trees to improve our economy. So it's important to plant trees. We Kenyans have a lot of wealth in planting trees.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. And of course now your general parting shot. This is KBC and we say Kenya is watching. Speak to the Kenyans.
I want to thank KBC for this opportunity, and I want to thank our political leaders for giving us peace. In business, we cannot go anywhere without that peace. People might say what they want. I'm not a politician, but I think what we were praying for as a country was to have peace. Whichever way it comes, we thank God. And I think Kenyans need to embrace this because this is what will spur our economic activities. This is what will give us a better future. We needed nothing better than peace. I think Kenyans, I just want to appeal to you to embrace the peace the country is having at the moment.
Well, all right,
you.
Thank you so much. Such rich an interview we had right there with Charles. And of course, he's an educationist and is doing so much to impact positively on society. So what are you doing? And of course, always join us for this weekly segment. We do this again Wednesday next week. But for now, we take a very short break, after which O'Brien Kimani with updates from the business desk.